Listen!
Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and this time we are talking about Metroid Prime 4. This game that has been in development throughout the entire Nintendo Switch generation. This game that was pre-ordered by so many people so many years ago, and many have dropped those pre-orders because of how long it's taken for this game to come out. Many doubt this game's existence, many don't think it's going to happen. And today I'm here to tell you that there really isn't anything to worry about. Metroid Prime 4 is going to come out, and not only is it going to come out, it's very likely going to be an incredible game for the Nintendo Switch. Now before we continue, let me point out that we are aiming to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. With your help, it just might be possible. So when I think about what Metroid Prime 4 is going to be, not only do I think it's going to be a game that will come out, but I think it's actually probably coming out fairly soon. And not only is it going to come out fairly soon, but this is going to be one of the best games on Nintendo Switch. And that may sound like hyperbole, that may sound like something very subjective, and in truth, it is going to be subjective because not everyone loves all the games the same. I think Tears of the Kingdom is clearly one of the greatest games ever made. You might disagree, but many of you also may agree. It's doing really well, it's reviewed really well, and I think similar things will be said about Metroid Prime 4. And no, I'm not saying Metroid Prime 4 is going to sell 30 million copies, but I do think it has a great chance to be maybe the best-selling Metroid game ever. So why do I feel so confident about this? There are a number of reasons. We'll speak on the quality in a moment. Let's first just talk about this game happening and coming in the not-so-distant future. Now, when it comes to release timing, we don't have solid, hard proof of when it's going to come. There's evidence to support what this game's quality will be like, and we'll get to that, but let's just talk about why I am so confident this game is coming fairly soon. Early in the year, myself and Nintendo Prime heard from a particular source suggesting that Metroid Prime 4 is complete, maybe going through some QA testing and debug, but content-wise, pretty much towards the end, they're getting ready to put this game out there. And this is a rumor, but it's from a place that we trust, so it is one of those things where you may have to just trust us or not, but we're not the only ones who have talked about this game coming fairly soon. Nate the Hate, also known as Direct Feed Games or Nate Drake on Reset Era, someone who's considered to be an industry insider who has talked about a number of things in the past that have come to fruition, has been saying that he's hearing that Metroid Prime 4 should be coming out by the end of the fiscal year, and he's even been thinking it'll be coming out sometime this calendar year, as early as potentially this September. Now some of that is speculation, but the point is that Metroid Prime 4 is close. And also recently, there have been some reports showcasing that Nintendo of UK is gauging interest in Metroid Prime 4. Now there's some uncertainty if this is a recent thing that's popped up or just something that people have recently discovered, but it also wouldn't be the first time that we see Metroid Prime 4 pop up in Nintendo's surveys trying to figure out people's interest in the series. And going back to this rumor of it being nearly done, this might line up with the release timing for Metroid Prime Remastered. Metroid Prime Remastered was supposedly done for a long time. Sources such as Emily Rogers have indicated this game may have been done as early as summer of 2021, but only now Nintendo has decided to release it. And the way they released it, it was a shadow drop. They announced it, released it the same day, there was no marketing or lead up beforehand, released for $40, in the same week as Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. It kind of felt like they were just pushing it out there. And the speculation here is that the reason it's come out in this way is because they want people to play this game, Metroid Prime Remastered, in preparation for Metroid Prime 4. It makes sense to release the remaster beforehand, and Nintendo may have gone word that Metroid Prime 4 is close to completion, and maybe also because we are nearing the end of the Switch generation, it's time to put out all their games. You might have noticed that Nintendo has been putting out a few games or a few updates rather quickly. For example, Future Redeemed put out within the same week as Advance Wars, right before the big release of Tears of the Kingdom, and even more recently, Nintendo has just randomly announced Everybody Want to Switch, announced June 1st, coming out June 30th. With all the rumors of Switch 2 around the corner, it seems that Nintendo is putting out all the games that have been in development for Switch. And there's really only one other game that's officially announced that's currently still slated. That's Metroid Prime 4. So when is that going to come? Well, I'm speculating as early as this holiday. We'll see how things pan out. Could come out by the end of the fiscal year, maybe slightly later, but I think we're within a year of release, and I feel really confident saying that we're going to actually see details on this game, like actual gameplay and footage, within a few months, at least by the end of the year. And if you don't believe the rumors or the insiders, we have job listings for Retro Studios hiring talent for a new AAA project. In other words, they are hiring for not Metroid Prime 4, which lines up with everything else we've been saying throughout this video. So maybe that's enough to suggest that yeah, the game is probably coming relatively soon. But that doesn't mean it's going to be good. It's been in development for years, maybe it's been in development hell. They initially had to restart the project and they announced this back in January 2019. Metroid Prime 4 was announced back at E3 2017. What was going on with that first initial project that they had to cancel it? Maybe Nintendo isn't capable of producing a proper Metroid Prime 4. But I don't agree with this take. Nintendo has shown that they can create high quality games, some of the best games in the industry. They have some of the highest reviewed games throughout this generation. And when they announced the restart back in early 2019, they talked about how they wanted to make sure that Metroid Prime 4 would measure up to the legacy of the franchise. They wanted to compare to Metroid Prime in quality. And Metroid Prime is one of the greatest games ever made, at least from a critical acclaim perspective. It's one of the highest reviewed games ever on the Nintendo GameCube, and even the recent Metroid Prime Remastered is currently the second highest rated game on Switch for this year, and in the top 10 highest rated games for Switch for the entire generation. And there's a lot of really good games on Switch. And Metroid Prime Remastered is perhaps the most important game to look at here in terms of gaining an assurance of the quality, because Metroid Prime Remastered was made by Retro Studios. Now, Retro Studios got some help from a few other studios to finish Metroid Prime Remastered, likely because they are working on Metroid Prime 4, but Retro Studios began this project. And actually, journalist Imran Khan a while ago said that from what he had heard, Retro Studios is working on a prototype Metroid Prime, a modern version of it, a remaster, and when they showed Nintendo this, they greenlit that project, but also they passed on Metroid Prime 4 to Retro Studios, and this is around when we heard the restart of Metroid Prime 4. So in other words, Retro Studios deserves the credit for this incredible release. Now, some of you may doubt just how impressive this game is, but a little while ago, on the YouTube channel Kiwi Talks, they had an interview with some initial Metroid Prime project developers, the initial project that came out on Nintendo GameCube. One of them was Jack Matthews, the lead technical engineer, and he had this to say.
This is a level of fidelity that should not have been possible at 60 FPS on a Switch game. And this is why it's the best looking Switch game out there.
Basically, Metroid Prime Remastered is an incredible feat. What they did with this game is something that many developers did not even think was possible on Nintendo Switch. Having this physical-based lighting still running at 60 frames per second, the game is arguably, if not almost indisputably, one of the most impressive games on Switch. So if Retro Studios can accomplish such impressive technical feats as this, and when you consider the history of all their released games, they're all really good. Sure, Retro Studios has been quite on the hiatus. Before Metroid Prime Remastered, we hadn't seen a game from them since Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and that was just a port for Switch. Before that, it was also Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze back on the Wii U. But every time a game has come out from them, it has been good. And that includes the recent Metroid Prime Remastered that came out just this past February. We are seeing the signs that Metroid Prime 4 is also nearby. If it's coming out, it's probably because it's good. They will not release a bad game, which is probably why they've been on hiatus for so long. They will make sure that whatever they come up with will be impressive. And maybe also some of that time was just simply them working on tech so they can accomplish something impressive like Metroid Prime Remastered on Switch. What they did with that game is just straight up amazing. And I think what they're going to do with Metroid Prime 4 is going to be just as amazing. Something that will measure up to the legacy of the franchise, which is incredible. Game of the Year caliber kind of quality. It's going to be a good time. I feel pretty confident in saying that. But what do you guys think? Are you worried about Metroid Prime 4? Or are you just as confident as I am? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andre's Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.